Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all enjoyed the last video on what is this love all about and learned new insights about loving the Hindus and others in this world. In this video, I would like to continue to delve deeper into the latter half of the love chapter of the Bible. So let's get into the video. My name is Andy and you're watching Gospel in Action. In this channel, I strive to teach all about the Bible, the prophecies, and Hinduism from a Christian perspective. The only thing I would ask you is to kindly watch 2 or 3 videos from this channel. You will automatically subscribe. What we have learned in the last video was truly priceless. We have learned the role of love in all aspects of our faith and interactions with the Hindus and all unbelievers. We have learned that even the most remarkable spiritual gifts or acts of sacrifice are meaningless without love. We have learned that love is patient, kind, humble, and selfless, devoid of envy, boasting, arrogance, or even rudeness. And that love seeks understanding, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. We have learned that love does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Ultimately, we have understood love as an enduring virtue that transcends boundaries and reflects the essence of God's character, isn't it? So, in the context of loving Hindus and other unbelievers, this passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 serves as a guiding principle for approaching our relationships with the Hindus with empathy, compassion, respect, and a genuine desire to understand them and share the message of the good news of Christ to help them secure their eternal afterlife. Now, let us continue to see what Paul had to say in the rest of the chapter. Paul says like this: as for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So now faith, hope, and love abide, these 3. But the greatest of these is love. Paul is the greatest disciple of all time, and he was filled with the Holy Spirit. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to articulate and weave all this love into words. Paul talks about the temporary nature of the spiritual gifts and, on contrast, the enduring significance of love. Let me explain all this in great detail. Firstly, Paul explains that the spiritual gifts such as prophecies, tongues, and knowledge are limited and will eventually pass away. This reality reminds us that if God gave these gifts to us and we have them, we are to not prioritize these above love when engaging with Hindus and unbelievers. While these gifts may have their place, they are partial and incomplete compared to the eternal nature of love. So let us make sure we don't fall prey to the temptations of the benefits of using these gifts and fail to love people around us. Many Christian pastors do fall prey to it and commit this great mistake. This is the whole reason why the mission of Christ has been failing in India and other places of the world from a human point of view. But I'm sure God has a bigger purpose on what is going to come. Now, if we look at the verses in greater depth, the passage highlights the idea of growth and maturity in faith. Paul is explaining that growth in the form of an analogy, indicating that the development of our spiritual understanding is like the progression from childhood to adulthood. Similar to how we outgrow our childish ways of thinking and reasoning, even our faith matures as we gain deeper insights and understanding. This maturity should help us grow in biblical wisdom, so we know how we interact with Hindus and unbelievers. So this growth should guide us to approach Hindus with patience, empathy, and humility. This is what I have been trying to convey through all my videos of late. Paul also acknowledges the limitations of our current understanding, as we are still in the process of growth and not fully grown in wisdom. So yes, Paul acknowledges that our perception of spiritual truths is definitely incomplete. Currently, we are looking at heaven with a dim perspective, like looking at it from a mirror reflection. But he says that our vision will definitely expand as we continue to grow in the process of our sanctification. So what we must share with Hindus are the things that we already know that are 100% true. For example, we can let them know that Jesus died for their sins and that the atonement is done and that it is finished. God accepted Jesus' sacrifice on their behalf, and all they can do is to believe in the message of the gospel and claim the forgiveness through the atoning sacrifice of Jesus Christ on the cross. We can let them know that this is the ultimate expression of God's love and mercy towards all of us, the entire humanity. We can also let them know that Jesus rose from the dead and is preparing a place for us there in heaven. This is according to John chapter 14. Paul even says that if Christ has not been raised from the dead, our faith is in vain in 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 17. And finally, Paul ends the love chapter of the Bible with the enduring significance of faith, hope, and love. He said that the spiritual gifts may fade away and our understanding may be partial, but these three virtues, faith, hope, and love, remain constant. And it is not an exaggeration to say that love in particular is highlighted as the greatest of these virtues. So in our interactions with Hindus and unbelievers, love should be the guiding principle that conveys our words and actions, as it transcends cultural and religious differences, and importantly, it reflects the unconditional love of God Himself. In whole, all this encourages us to prioritize love above all else when engaging with Hindus and all unbelievers. Ultimately, the message of Jesus' sacrifice is one of hope and reconciliation, inviting all people, regardless of their religious background, to experience the transformative power of God's love and forgiveness. So Hindus, if this is the hope that you are looking for, have no inhibitions at all. Salvation is now. Come to Jesus Christ and experience this love. I know it is hard to put all this perfectly into words, but this is what the Bible has to offer. I hope you have learned something new and amazing in these videos. God bless you all. I will see you in the next one.